Want to know what's really happening at Fox News right currently, genuinely? They're grooming this douchebag to take over Tucker's spot. They've been a couple of the people there have been like out crueling each other to see who gets the slot. And Kilmeade is the sacrificial lamb because it'll give him the slot and because he's got to show up 2 days for work and blah, blah, blah. But they're trying to test to see if Waters can take over the spot. And because he can be just as douchey, and he's not going to do a special on fucking ball tanning, so they feel better about him, and they know what they're getting into, because while he'll shit on other races, he doesn't promote being white in the abstract ever, at least not in any recorded fashion that we've seen so far. All of his sort of supremacist views take place in him just shitting on other people of different colors and different ethnicities and the like, without ever boosting himself up, because I guess it's because it's why bother even saying it, right? Do you even have to? All right, so this is fascinating because obviously Biden is running for president again. Jesse Waters, Biden is meant to block Trump from the White House. Is meant to block Trump. This is the 5 discuss President Biden's lack of momentum in his 2024 campaign and Joe Biden's role in his decision to run for re-election. So the idea is that he's not there to win the White House. He's there to stop Trump from winning, which he can only do by winning the White House again. All right, so I'm sure it'll be full of douchebaggery. Here we go.
Biden 2024 is off to a rocky start.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, I know. It's slow out of the gate. Unlike Trump's, which has been fucking magic.
Democrats are less than enthusiastic, and
I'm good. I'm going to vote for him again. I'm fine. I don't have a problem. Also, they also don't recognize people just getting on with their fucking lives, and then we'll vote next time, and that'll be that. We don't fucking have to clamor and kiss his fucking ring or bow before him. He's a fucking human being doing a job. We're good with that. You do realize that, like, this is, you're going to see a bunch, I predict. You're going to see a bunch of the messianic overlay that they hold on Trump onto Biden. And they can't understand how people will vote for a guy they don't openly worship, because why would you worship a fucking person? They're doing a job. I like the guy. I appreciate what he's doing. That's plenty. Off we go. And no, she didn't get canned, Wendy. They lost Tucker and Bongholio, but they kept Judge Jeanine.
Bad headlines.
She already lost her show earlier. She's just on the 5 now as one of the fillers.
Piling up as well. His campaign is said to be, quote, slow out of the gate, with donors showing a lack of enthusiasm, and close allies are having to persuade the rich that Joe is not too old to run and has vigor. Yikes. And now we're learning.
You do realize Trump is having the same problem, but Biden doesn't need the money.
It was Dr. Jill's fault. She is apparently the one who convinced her husband that it was a good idea to run, and helping Joe, quote, get to yes on running for re-election at 80. Not a big surprise, given that she is his biggest cheerleader.
Well, yeah, she knows him very well. Unlike Melania, interestingly enough, who is suspiciously absent from the world of cheerleading.
He's not done. He's not finished what he started. Look at all that Joe has accomplished.
One of the Republican candidates is calling for mental competency tests for those politicians over the age of 75. What do you think about that?
Ridiculous. Look at what he's doing. His energy level, his level of passion.
You're gonna dance? Yeah, no, you're going to come up with. No, but I would love that costume. Come on up, Joe.
But Democrats are falling in line and saying Biden is ready to go.
Joe Biden is agile, is capable.
Incredibly sharp, incredibly probing, incredible command.
Let's not forget, more Americans voted for this president than any other president in history.
People are on fire for the Biden-Harris ticket.
Polls will go up, polls will go down, but what won't change are the facts.
I don't even know.
There's a weird moment. They're coming back from a clip, so you give them a little, a little bit, but they all seem sort of frozen in the idea because they spend all day, every day dressing Biden up as the most evil person in the world, but also incompetent. Again, he's a master thief and the head of an international crime ring who can't find can't figure out which way his jacket buttons and always puts his shoes on backwards and tries to drink milk out of the bottom of the glass. Like that, both those things are apparently always true. It makes sense that they have a bit of cognitive dissonance in talking about him, where that they come back from a clip like that and everybody's kind of momentarily frozen.
How to start, but Dana, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
His energy level, the level of passion. The fact is that Jill Biden is the one who wants him to run, and I think that she signaled at some Easter egg roll before he announced that he's not done yet.
Yeah.
He's not done. What isn't he done doing?
Well, remember that followed.
Turning us into a communist nation. I mean, come on. He's trying to make us communist by joining, or he's doing there. No, wait, I'll get it. We're going to become communists because the banks are, other banks are absorbing them. Because the government is making all buy American. That's what it is. It's communist to buy American. I'm going to go with that.
That was the State of the Union address where he kept saying, finish the job.
Yeah.
And then I think it's very curious. I do not understand the communications decision for wanting this story out there. So if you...
Or people are just looking for the angle of Jill Biden and they decided that in the Politico thing, because it's not like they're doing a full court press. Karine Jean-Pierre didn't say this at the podium. What the fuck are you talking about?
If you want credit for being influential, you would put it out there, I guess. But you're also the one that could be the one to blame, because Biden for the whole time has been saying, I intend to run, but, you know, like, I'll tell you when I'm ready. Now we get the story that she had to convince him to. And
No. The story that's coming out and get the... All right. We've dealt with this with fucking Trump and his idea that, you know, Melania is our great first lady. I haven't seen her in months. I don't know where the fuck she is, but she's so good. And everybody loves her except me. And I don't know where she is. Meanwhile, the Bidens are part of their image and part of what they're putting forward. And part of their genuine story is they're a family. I don't know why this is so... Well, I kind of do. Because I don't know, like, none of these people look like they have any deep, abiding connections in their lives. It's very strange.
I'm glad that she's his biggest cheerleader. I think that anybody who's married should have that in their relationship. That's great.
But I guess the question then is, why does Melania hate Donald so much?
But I also think that there are just some things that the president is going to have to do himself. It is not...
Yeah. He knows this. That's why he ultimately made the decision. Even that article says helped him get to yes, because he might have, the only thing he might have said I'm not sure about is how the family's going to take it. Because I love you guys. What do you think?
Not enough for people who like him.
Hold on. Maybe it's the story. Hold on. Let's check this out. Because, you know, Dana Perignon over here. Let's see. How... what was it? How Jill Biden helped get to yes, something like that was the general name of that. How Bill? Yeah, here you go. This is the article. How Joe Biden helped Joe get to yes on running for re-election at 80. She's the not so secret weapon behind her husband. And unlike 4 years ago, she didn't have reservations before he chose to run. 4 years ago, she was hesitant about her husband making a White House run, fearing the toll it would take on him and the family. In the months before Joe Biden finally announced he made the relationship, she had no such reservation. Privately, the First Lady encouraged her husband to run again while giving him the space he needed to process the decision in the way he traditionally does, with extensive deliberations, consideration of the burden it would place on his family, and a bit of classic Biden hemming and hawing. She was involved in all the high-level discussions around the decision, giving counsel when she felt it was necessary. She's usually in the room when senior campaign staff are presenting strategy to her husband. She will ask questions, but she never weighs in on the decision. It's because she's his wife and his sounding board and they love each other. I know, it's gross, isn't it? It's kind of stomach churning. I'm like watching this. I'm like looking at the way they look at each other. I'm like getting the cavity, you know? He looks like some kind of demented paratrooper. Her gentle encouragement of her husband's re-election run which of course involved a whip, comes as she's relishing a role, hanging out at the Super Bowl and the Women's Final Four, and actively posting on social media. Unlike the cliche applied to wives of major political figures, that they're the secret weapons behind their husband's success, there's nothing that secret about the role she is playing. Nearly a dozen aides and advisors in Biden world describe the First Lady as someone who has grown more willing to endure the rigors and demands of being in the political spotlight herself, and more convinced of her husband's fit for the job. She is always his final gut check. Like this, again, this is a fucking conversation about how close their family is. And the inability to process that closeness by these douchebags is, I think, the most telling aspect.
And are friends with him or who work for him and are in positions of power because of him to tell us he's agile and that he's sharp and that he's on his game.
Well, that's because everybody's saying he's doddering and broken and weak and blah, 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 except all the people who think he's a master criminal, but they also think that.
Americans have to see that for themselves. We do not see it. Remember when he came home from Ireland?
I do remember. Remember
That for themselves. We do not see it. Remember when he came home?
Yeah. Do you guys remember?
Home from Ireland and he took.
Yeah. And by the way, that's how they pronounce remember in Ireland. Remember.
The rest of the week off. Part of what he did then is he recorded that video that announced his reelection. And since then, we've seen him at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Yes, that was great. But then now,
and then he's busy. Like, it's weird. There's like a war going on, and they're trying to right the economy, and there's still, there's all these infrastructure jobs, and they're pushing the infrastructure bill. And yeah, he's doing all that stuff. But people need to see the opposite of what we say when we say it. And why isn't he here?
I always tell these stories about, he only does events from 10 to 4. And then they called a lid last week on one of the mornings at 9:45 or 10:45 in the morning. You don't even have to do that. You can just say, the president's busy, and then you can call a lid at 4 o'clock like any normal human being would.
Or there was something huge going on that wasn't a fucking nap, dummy, because the spring offensive is about to start in Ukraine, and the United States is transferring stuff, and he is having meetings with world leaders nonstop about this shit. Why is this even a thing?
Jesse, is it that she's like relishing her role, hanging out at the Super Bowl and the women's Final Four?
She's reading the same article I just read to you guys.
She's always in Dolce and Gabbana. And, why give that up for a dreary life on the beach in Delaware?
I'm with Jill.
Yeah, fuck Delaware.
Do it for the perks. You got the chef, you got the jet.
Do you ever get the feeling that he's trying to just cop Dennis Miller energy without the jokes? You know what I mean? Like Jesse Waters seems like a guy who didn't get any of Dennis Miller's actual jokes that he used to write back in the day, and just liked the attitude and the kind of smarm talk, because he has that smarm accent. Listen.
I don't know. She obviously planted the story because she's had bad headlines. Remember, she kissed Dougie Fresh on camera. She called Hispanics tacos. None of the fashionistas ever say nice things about her outfit, so she was dying for good press.
Yeah, that's what it was. This is all Jill Biden's Machiavellian behind-the-scenes stuff.
She thinks this is good press, but every wife counsels her husband. That's nothing new.
Do they? Only in these weird, douchey left-wing relationships, though. Obviously, Steven Crowder's wife would like a word.
I was on paternity when he announced his reelection, and I didn't even hear about it. It did not break through at all. A lot of other news broke through when I was away. That didn't break through at all.
What do you mean, the Trump rape trial?
And think about that. The guy made no splash, and it's probably because he took all the drama out of the announcement. Remember the last 10 months? I'm probably going to run. I haven't announced it yet.
Yeah, it's almost like the campaigning part is less important than doing the fucking job. And it's way ahead of schedule.
Okay, that's exciting. And then he told Al Roker in an Easter egg role he was going to do it. So when he finally did it, everybody was bored. Permission to make an analogy.
Yeah.
Joe Biden is like a...
Hold on. I'll decide whether this is actually an analogy or not.
Nose tackle. He goes in there on short-yarded situations to plug holes. to prevent Donald Trump from getting into the end zone. That's it. He takes up space, and he's there on 4th and goal. And then
it's weird. I've never. Secondly, is Trump like the quarterback of the other team who's apparently getting his ass handed to him by the nose tackle? And secondly, in this particular instance, Biden, if you're going to play this analogy out, apparently was able to make and receive passes that Trump was unable to do while just being a nose tackle. Get the fuck out of here.
Waddles back out onto the sideline. The guy is not an
After what? Spiking the ball in the end zone?
offensive star. He's not dynamic. He's not going to put points on the board. He's
Points on the board? Is it still infrastructure week? You dipshit.
basically a wall around the White House so Donald Trump can't jump in.
Okay, so he didn't have to build a wall. He is a wall. I am that wall.
He doesn't do anything. He just sits there and blocks. That's it.
Really? And Trump's that weak? That he just gets, you don't even have to blitz this dumb fuck and he fails that bad?
And that's how he's always been.
He's always been that when he decided to not be a wall and let Hillary run. And then when he did decide to be a wall, Trump, I guess, tried to clear him and smashed into it.
I'm not shocked he can't raise money. If you were a Democratic...
It's not, he's not having a problem raising money. That story about the convincing rich donors to be all in, that's an early conversation. That's not a problem.
Would you give money to Joe now, or would you wait until next year?
Probably wait until next year when they're going to spend more of it. I mean, again, what's the fucking hurry? It's almost like Jesse's so close to it right here. It's almost as if he's got a criticism of Trump's idea to come out and declare himself that fucking early and only make money in one instance where when he turned himself in. But everywhere else, it's been...
I would wait until next year.
You're not going to give him money at all. And you're probably not going to donate to Trump either.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, since you're a new mother. Now, a senior Biden advisor describes Jill as a wife, a mom, a nana who does everything she can to defend her family. What kind of nana doesn't recognize her 7th grandchild?
Asked and answered. No one thinks that it's okay that this kid is being, sorry, I just hit your cup, is being
you took
ignored.
the lid off it.
Oh, there's another lid.
Lid at 521 here on the 5. No one's going to defend that. It's...
Oh, this is, there. By the way, they're talking about Hunter's illegitimate kid with this woman and that that woman wants her to take the Biden name and blah, blah, blah. And they are staying out of it. Jill and Joe are staying out of this thing with their adult son and his, I don't know even if it qualifies as a girlfriend or mistress, this woman he slept with and had a baby with, they're staying out of it. And the whole idea of whether it has a Biden name or any of that kind of stuff is kind of none of their business until they work it out. And there's a court case going on right now. The problem with this setup that she put in there is that if, let's say, because it's not like this kid and the mom are going to come after some, the $1 billion from China, that there's money to be had. So recognizing the kid isn't going to be a problem. It's just they're going to wait until it works out in family court because that's how shit works out. Whether it's going to have the Biden last name or not and all that kind of stuff, that'll work itself out. And then everybody will go, all right, we cool? We're cool. Right. And she's not Hunter's mother. So she can't actually put input in that regard. Hunter's mother is dead.
Silly at this point. It seems like it would have been an easy win. People's families are weird and strange, and you just say, my son had a kid with this woman, and this is my 7th grandkid. So
okay, but the question really is, why not admit it? I know what you think they should do.
Made a calculation that it was not going to be helpful for them, or Hunter said, no, I don't want this, I'm not doing it, and they tiptoe around him. They've coddled him through all of this and just said, my son is perfect, my son is perfect, instead of talking about it in real terms that the average American can understand. We have a son who struggled with addiction. He's overcome this.
Okay.
Can I say something about politics, though, since I'm just repeating myself for that? To Jesse's point about, he's just a wall keeping Donald Trump out. I obviously think he's done a lot more than that, but it is important that he is the gatekeeper for that. And there have been a slew of polls that came out this week from Republican pollsters, from Echelon Insights, from WPA Intelligence, people who've worked for Ted Cruz, like real conservatives, that show Donald Trump losing to Joe Biden in every single swing state and on a national level, but Ron DeSantis winning. And there's a chorus of moderate Republicans, even people who were pro-Trump before, that are just saying, we will lose if we renominate Donald Trump, and he is the front runner right now by 30 points on average. And Joe Biden.
Yeah, I don't have I'm only stopping her to just enjoy and bask in that moment.
Being the gatekeeper, keeping Donald Trump out of office when it looks like he's going to be the candidate, is what Democrats care about most, and why he will have all the money that he needs and all the support that he needs for this race.
Greg, how would you wrap this up?
Well, certainly not with jokes.
One thing, just to Jessica, Joe will lose to Trump if inflation doesn't get under control or we go into a recession. He will lose because
No. And by the way, define under control. Because American spending has not gone down. As a matter of fact, it's one of the reasons why the Fed kept going with its interest rate hikes, is because Americans are still spending a shit ton of money.
you're going to need somebody with an economic sense that.
Well, I guess that then why would you even mention Trump's fucking name?
Joe Biden doesn't like. I'm workshopping a joke, though. I was thinking.
Oh, God. First of all, as a comedian, for real, and it's one of the only jobs in the industry that where the title itself or the existence of the job is indeed debatable. You can call somebody an actor, even if they're a bad actor, but there's no such thing as bad comedians. They're only comedians. Other people are just not funny. You're not a comedian if you're not funny. Just for the record, it's an important distinction. Case in point, Greg, or Gutfeld here is not funny, and he's going to workshop a joke right in front of us. This is him, I guess, wussing out on his own comedy.
Can I try it out?
Yes.
Why is Joe Biden like a bad open casket?
Why?
A bad open casket.
Why?
Because you have to keep calling a lid. See, I don't know.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Because you have to keep, Jesus Christ. Look at the look on his face. Like he thinks he's going to salvage it by being cute or something. Ugh. What a bunch of shit.
No, I'm not sure. Calling for a lid, I don't know. I love the so-called positive adjectives that are used to describe Joe. Like he's capable. It's like something you'd say about somebody who just had a head injury. Jerry's capable ever since, the head injury. It's surprising. Or, he's very agile for a man with no feet. It's something you would say. So it makes you think he's incapable and bumbling just.
Or they're pushing back against the nonstop he's old shit from assholes like him. So the response from a lot of people is that kind of language to directly countermand the whole, like, you can't do anything. You can't even walk a flight of stairs, the blah, blah, blah.
By mentioning those. But I got to talk about what the most amazing thing about Dr. Jill is how truly amazing Dr. Jill is. Not a single negative story ever appearing about her. How can somebody be so perfect, right? You know nothing about her. Judging by the media, she is Joan of Arc to Melania's Lizzie Borden, right?
He wrote that part down. Look at him. Look at his paper. Joan of Arc to Lizzie Borden. By the way, Joan of Arc was a killer and rather butch. I think the comparative analogy, and obviously he's been taking lessons from Jesse, would be Mother Teresa to Lizzie Borden. That kind of. Never mind.
And it's totally predictable because the media always protects its own. And
yes, and she was obviously a big host on MSNBC for years.
Jill belongs to them.
She belongs to them. All right.
And I don't blame them.
I'm sorry. Was she on the covers of magazines or inside them in flagrante delicto?
She is a doctor, which is great for Joe in case of a medical emergency.
She's not a medical doctor.
You can read to him.
Well, that's the other thing, too, is it's hilarious that people can have a doctorate in something and you call them a doctor even though they're not. Like, It doesn't Sebastian Gorka call himself that?
Yeah, she's got an education degree. I'll get 100 emails saying, why didn't you say she's not a doctor? She's not.
But she is a true education doctor.
Yeah, ahead.
Also, what the, like, this is such a weird hill to die on. Their inability to sort of process that doctorates exist as a status thing in a myriad of different intellectual, philosophical, and material pursuits. It's so fucking lame.
The Biden administration is sticking it to blue-collar workers everywhere in the name of their green radical agenda.
That's right.
Brian Kilmeade.
Oh yeah, no one cares, Brian.